Hi, I'm Valerie Crow with Cobb and Douglas Public Health. Welcome to Spotlight on Public Health. Today we're going to take a closer look at the Zika virus. We'll discuss the virus as well as ways to control mosquitoes around your home. My first guest is Rachel Franklin, Director of Epidemiology and Health Assessment with Cobb and Douglas Public Health. Rachel, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Valerie.
Rachel, tell me a little bit about the Zika virus.
So Zika is a virus that is transmitted by mosquitoes that become infected. It was first discovered in 1947, and then about 5 years later they found the first cases. Prior to the large 2015 outbreak that we've all been hearing about in South America, it was previously found in Africa, Asia, and the Pacific Islands.
Okay. What are the signs and symptoms of Zika?
So people that are symptomatic, their typical signs are mild fever, rash, joint pain, and pink eye. However, most people don't show any signs or symptoms. About 80% of people never even knew they were infected. Among those that do become symptomatic, it rarely requires hospitalization, very rarely fatal. There is a very small chance of a neurological side effect called Guillain-Barré syndrome, but like I said, that is a rare side effect. But our main concern are pregnant women with Zika.
Okay, and how does the virus spread?
It's spread in three different ways. The primary mode of spread is through infected mosquitoes. Essentially, a person becomes infected with Zika virus. It is infectious in their blood for about a week after they become infected. And at that time, if they are bitten by a certain type of mosquito, the mosquito can become infected and then go to the next person and spread it to them. So that is the primary mode of transmission. But there are two other ways. The first and the one that we are most concerned with are pregnant women to their fetuses. And that can happen in any trimester. That's our biggest concern. And the third way is through sexual transmission. A man that's infected with Zika can actually spread it to his sexual partner for several months after he's infected.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and they're looking into other possible transmission methods, organ donation and blood donation, but those haven't been figured out quite yet.
Right, and you mentioned that pregnant women are public health's primary concern. Mm-hmm. Can you give me a little more detail about that?
Sure. So in the last few months, researchers have found that it can lead to severe neurological side effects in infants when the pregnant woman becomes infected. The first trimester is of the most concern, but a woman infected in any of the 3 trimesters can spread it to her developing baby. And like I said, the main concern are those severe neurological side effects like microcephaly, and where the brain is abnormally small, and other side effects. So that is what we are, definitely pushing the most is prevention for pregnant women because we don't want that to happen to our infants.
Okay. And if someone has traveled to a country that's affected with Zika, what should they do?
So if they have traveled to one of the 47 countries that currently is experiencing Zika outbreak around the world, they need to talk to their healthcare provider if they become symptomatic in about 3 to 7 days after they return from that trip. There is testing available through public health, and the healthcare provider will work with us to get them tested. However, if a pregnant woman has traveled to one of the affected countries, she needs to speak to her OB immediately whether or not she shows signs or symptoms, because she could still pass it on to the baby.
Okay. And then is there a vaccine for the virus?
Not yet. They're currently looking into a vaccine, but in the meantime, it's all about mosquito bite prevention to protect yourself.
Okay. And then how worried should people be about a Zika outbreak in the U.S.?
So it's understandable that people would be worried about something like this. We do have the mosquitoes that are capable of spreading Zika virus in a lot of parts of the U.S., especially those warm, humid climates. This particular mosquito can also spread other mosquito-borne diseases such as dengue fever and chikungunya. And it is a concern. However, like I said earlier, most people never knew they had it, and once they become infected, they are immune for life. So the ones that we are concerned with are those, like I said, that are pregnant, but it takes a lot for an outbreak in the U.S. to occur. It takes the right kind of mosquitoes and then a large pool of people that become infected to spread it from person to person. So we're really counting on our residents to help us prevent that outbreak.
So really you're basically saying that for most people it's unlikely to be a problem or a health threat?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Rachel, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
After a short break, we will be right back.
Here we go. We're gonna make some juice.
It's gonna
You
be
ready?
good.
She's excited. A little bit of kale.
Please don't put this on
I'm
line.
putting it all over the line.
It's wet. It needs something. No, it'll go.
Don't break my juicer. Looks good.
You ready to try it?
Come on, baby.
Challenge your kids to be active and eat healthy.
It's okay.
You like it?
All right.
They might surprise you.
Hey, she took another sip. You saw it?
Search We Can for more ideas on how you and your kids can get healthy together.
Nice. No. Oops.
Yeah, sure.
Let's go.
Moms everywhere are finding ways to keep kids active and healthy.
Works every time.
Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov.
Welcome back. My next guest is Chris Hutchinson, Director of Environmental Health with Cobb and Douglas Public Health. Chris, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Chris, there has been a lot of discussion about mosquito prevention lately. What can residents do to prevent mosquito bites?
Well, the main thing to remember about mosquitoes, they're very good at what they do. Essentially, if there's any stagnant water on a property, those mosquitoes will come in and lay eggs, and when they lay eggs, they'll lay hundreds at a time. So just a little bit of standing water is enough for a huge mosquito population in your backyard. And the main thing to keep in mind, there's the 5 Ds, and those are the things to remember when it comes to protecting both your neighbors and yourself from mosquitoes. Essentially, the first D stands for discard, and essentially this is a time where it's a good time to go around and clean up your property. All those things that are laying out in the yard that could be collecting water, they really don't have a reason to be there. It's a good time to throw it away. But if you can't throw it away, the next thing you can do is drain it. Empty that container at least once a week, every 7 days or less. Empty that container. Then that way the water isn't there long enough for the mosquitoes to breed. The next thing you can do is, I guess the next D is for DEET, which DEET is an insect repellent that will keep mosquitoes away. But it's good to keep in mind DEET isn't the only option when it comes to insect repellents. There's IR 3535, there's picaridin, there's oil of lemon eucalyptus. Basically the main thing to do is to make sure you're using an EPA registered insect repellent, because there are some products that have come out on the market that I know one I saw recently was a wristband that was infused with mint oil that was supposed to create a haze of many goodness around you that would repel the mosquitoes, and needless to say, that's something that would not be working. So the main thing is use an EPA registered insect repellent. Make sure you read the directions so it's used properly, and also make sure when you have children, don't let them do the insect repellent application. Make sure you help them out so they're not putting DEET where it doesn't need to be going or using way too much. The next D is for dress, and this is probably the trickiest thing, because really the main thing to keep mosquitoes from biting you is to cover your body while you're outside, which is not an easy thing to do in the summer. It's recommended that you wear light colors because mosquitoes like dark colors, so make sure you wear something light. Wearing long sleeve shirts, long sleeve pants, socks, it's the perfect outfit to go outside in the summer, but it will protect you from mosquito bites. And there is also the option of getting permethrin treated clothing, which permethrin is an insecticide that will kill mosquitoes if they do land on the clothing. And finally, the last D is for daytime, because the mosquitoes that spread Zika, they bite during the daytime. So admittedly, if you minimize activity during the day when you're outdoors, or make sure to take extra precautions when you're outdoors during the day, that's when you can do a lot to protect yourself from being exposed to Zika.
Okay. And I've heard a little bit about the Tip and Toss campaign. Can you tell me a little bit about that? I think that's the Department of Public Health's campaign.
Yes, that's our campaign, and basically that's just kind of emphasizing with people it's a good time to basically, if you have something that's holding water, empty it out, get rid of it. Because the thing about Zika and prevention, it's a lot about what you do on your own property, because these mosquitoes don't travel far from where they breed, roughly about 200 yards. So if you're seeing these mosquitoes, they're often either coming from your yard or they're coming from your neighbor's yard. So by tipping and tossing, cleaning up your property, that can do a lot just to kind of keep these mosquitoes at bay.
Okay. And what are some of the other things that can be done outside to control mosquitoes?
Main things outside, other than getting rid of all the debris on property, making sure, if you have screens on your windows, making sure those screens are repaired. If you have an outdoor porch, that's screened in, making sure the screen is intact on that. Another thing you can do, there are barrier sprays that can be used against mosquitoes. And once again, you want to make sure you use an EPA registered product and that you follow the directions. Not only is it important because you don't want to overuse the pesticide. It can have a negative impact on, say, beneficial insects. But just follow the directions, and that way when the mosquitoes are resting on leaves and things in your yard, that a barrier spray can help keep them in control.
Okay, and then what about inside homes? I know mosquitoes easily get in there.
Yeah, the main thing you want to do is, keep those doors shut, make sure those screens are intact, and if you do have windows, you want to make sure you don't have holes in your screens, but it's even better if you keep the window closed. Because mosquitoes can get into your house, and when you think about it, sometimes there are sources of standing water in your home. You may have some potted plants indoors where you may have some standing water in the pan underneath the pots, so those are places where mosquitoes could breed.
Okay, and you had mentioned earlier that the mosquitoes that spread the Zika virus bite during the daytime. Does that mean that we don't need to worry about mosquitoes at night?
No, basically mosquitoes, they do have a shift change. You have your day biters, it's Aedes albopictus and Aedes aegypti that are the primary spreaders of Zika virus if it were to get into this area. But you also have other mosquitoes that spread West Nile virus, Eastern equine encephalitis, and St. Louis encephalitis, and those basically bite in the evening hours. So really, the precautions that you would want to take to avoid being bitten by mosquitoes, you really need to do that anytime you're outdoors to be on the safe side.
Okay. All right, well, Chris, I appreciate you being here today.
All right, thanks for having me.
We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back.
Lead paint poisoning affects 1 million children today. If you're pregnant or have young children and your home was built before 1978, you could be at risk. Learn how to protect your family. To find your home's danger zones, the health effects, or just to find help, log on to leadfreekids.org.
Did you buy the flashlight and the batteries?
Yes.
Did you make sure we're not missing anything in the first aid kit?
Yep.
Did you go through the plan with the kids again?
Yes.
The more you prepare today, the more you'll be able to reduce the devastating effects of a tornado, an earthquake, a power outage, or any other disaster. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed. Visit ready.gov.
Welcome back. My next guest is Pat Kaufman, Environmental Health Manager with Cobb and Douglas Public Health. Pat, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Earlier, Pat, I spoke with a guest about the Tip and Toss campaign. Why is it important for residents to tip and toss?
Well, the most important thing you can do to get rid of Zika and the mosquitoes that are around your house and neighborhood is toss stagnant water. That means get rid of stagnant water. That means you go outside your house, you go around your house, you look in the yard, see things that are going to be holding stagnant water, such as pots or pans or bird baths or fountains or whatever, and you want to eliminate that standing water. That also means going around even the neighborhood. If you see an area that needs some work, that needs something eliminated as far as standing water, go ahead and work on that. Also, you want to work on brush a little bit. If you've got some brush in your yard where it's kind of shady, maybe there's some English ivy that's holding the water, you want to eliminate that. So you eliminate any potential area for breeding. Again, mosquitoes, they love stagnant water. They love, after it rains, a few days later, they're going to lay their eggs, and you're going to have a problem. So it's best to find any area that has standing water, eliminate it, toss it, tip it, whatever it takes.
Okay. And you know, I have heard that mosquitoes don't need much water to breed. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, mosquitoes are called container breeders, and you can take something as small as this soda cap, and they can breed in this. Or it could be something like a leaf. It takes a very little amount of water for the mosquitoes to breed.
Wow. Okay, well, with that being the case, let's identify some items that may hold water that could be around, you know, people's homes.
Right, this is typical what you see in a lot of homes is the food pet dish. Again, you may have a dog or kitty that they eat outside. Well, guess what? It doesn't take much for the rain to fall down and get in here, and within a few days you're going to have mosquitoes breeding. So tipping this over, staying on top of this will eliminate the problem.
Okay.
Other things like I have these on my deck in my backyard. You have a container that you have a little plant in. And this part is where the dirt is and the plant is, and that kind of drains down, but then it goes down to the saucer here at the bottom. And right here is where the water is going to stand, it's going to get stagnant, and you're going to have mosquitoes breeding there. If you're like me, if you've got plants, you're always out watering, using the water can. Sure. And again, we leave it out and tend to forget about it. Next thing you know, it's got water in there, and they're breeding mosquitoes. So dump this out every few days to eliminate it. Okay. Other things, a lot of us have children, and they're out playing in the sandbox or outside in the yard, and they leave their toys outside. They may leave a shovel or a pan. Again, these things are going to hold water and they're going to breed mosquitoes. And another good example, we got a toy truck here. Again, when I was a kid, I always played with toy trucks. You're out there, you leave it out in the yard, guess what? This is where water collects and it will breed mosquitoes. So again, you're looking for any place that may hold water and help breed mosquitoes.
Right. Yeah, you wouldn't even think about a dump truck.
Right.
Well, what about water features like, you know, lakes, pools, or even water features that people may have? Ponds, little things they have in their yard.
Well, and again, a lot of us have like bird baths. We have fountains in the yard. Some of us have pools. If they're stagnant, it's going to breed mosquitoes. Again, you need to tip that bird bath over to get the stagnant water out of there. If you have a fountain, if it's running, that should not give you a problem. But if you have, like in my yard, I have a fountain that's not running, I have to keep the water out of there because within a few days the larvae start to show up in there and the mosquitoes are breeding in there. Again, swimming pools, abandoned swimming pools can be a problem for us. Some homes are abandoned, there's no one there to take care of the pools, and that's when we go out to try to eliminate the problem. So if you have a pool that's not operating, it's just sitting there with water in it, it's going to breed mosquitoes. Even a tarp that goes over your pool where you're trying to keep it nice and closed up, if the tarp gives a little bit and it rains, it's going to create a pool and the mosquitoes can breed there.
Okay. Well, and Pat, my last question, what is Cobb and Douglas Public Health doing about the Zika virus?
Well, Cobb and Douglas Public Health, the Center for Environmental Health, we have an area where we take complaints. If you have a complaint about, say, a neighbor that's got a stagnant pool and it's breeding mosquitoes, you can call into our office and we'll go out and investigate. We have a nuisance ordinance in Cobb County that we fall back on as far as legal action. And when we need to have someone eliminate a problem, we can take legal action to make them eliminate it. Another thing that we do, we have a couple of part-time mosquito techs that we have hired for the summer months and into the fall. They're going to help us deal with a lot of mosquito complaints that come in. Lastly, one of the things that the state of Georgia has done, the Department of Public Health, they have hired 9 mosquito surveillance technicians. They actually call them vector surveillance specialists anyway. And they go out and deal with mosquitoes in different parts of the state. We're going to have one in Cobb County who will help us work on that. Some of the things they're going to be doing is surveillance. They're going to be doing some trapping and identifying mosquitoes to help us eliminate the problem. They'll also be working as far as getting some education out there, working with other cities and agencies to try to get the word out what we can do to eliminate mosquitoes.
Okay, great. Well, Pat, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
For more details about the Zika virus, visit our website at cobbanddouglaspublichealth.org. For additional information, you can visit both the Georgia Department of Public Health and CDC websites. Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you next time.
You wanna go for a ride?
When I saw your face for the first time, I wondered how your life had been. Had anybody held you or loved you, or had they never noticed you there? What are you doing here? If your eyes could cry, I'd see a tear. The sadness that I see, you're coming home.
Why are you turning in this dog?
Be the best of friends.
Well, we're moving.
How long have you had the dog?
11 years.
You understand the dog will likely be put down?
Yeah.
I'll need you to complete the surrender if you would, please. You're giving up all rights to the dog. Are you okay with this?
Both my eyes have filled with tears, knowing one will find a home, leaving others fate unknown, killing our best friend. There's only so much one can do, that's why I'm out here asking you.
Did you want to keep the collar?
I don't think so.
Don't run away from your fear. And lovers need to learn and finally be concerned. They're killing our best friends. There's only so much one can do, that's why I'm out here asking you. How can you help me?
Every year, in Metro Atlanta alone, nearly 90,000 unwanted animals are put to death. It is epidemic and unnecessary. The problem can be fixed. Spay and neuter your animals. The time to act is now. Stop the needless killing. Please help us. www.mostlymutts.org.
But it would be safe to keep your distance until there's no secret that makes you smile. Reliable sources say that chicken soup has found their way out of this dangerous, but it would be safe to keep your distance until they are returned.
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
Wake the sun, tell him that I've begun to dream of things to come, and tell the trees not to look for me. I'm going to find some peace of mind. Wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun.
Well, I first started skating with my friend. He had an extra board, and then he just gave it to me, and I've been skating ever since. Well, when I don't land a trick and I have my mind set on something, and I'm not getting what I want, I just keep going for it until I get it right. My mom, she didn't go to college, so she wants me to experience that whole thing, and so I could end up getting like a good job. I think to get into college, I'll have to be determined, just like when I want to get a new trick, and skating's helped me realize I've got what it takes.
Did you know kids who play outdoors have healthier lungs?
Totally. I did. Did you know that boys that play with dolls make better husbands? My son has lots of dolls.
But did you know terry cloth diapers breathe better?
I did. It's totally true.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know that strollers have the right of way on a sidewalk?
Yes.
Yep, I did. Did you guys
Did you know that kids who eat breakfast have higher GPAs?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. That's actually what I was going to say.
Did you know babies should never touch silver? It's really bad for them.
I knew that. Did you guys know that statistically friendly kids have more friends?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's obvious.
Did you know most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right seat at the right age and size. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to make sure your child is protected.
I'm putting that on my blog.
I just put it in mine.
In 1990, in Severn, Maryland, the daughter of a clergyman was discovered by a music industry insider while pumping gas at a service station. The odds of her getting signed and spending 11 weeks at #1 on the U.S. singles charts? 1 in 19 million. The odds of this former church choir singer going on to sell 40 million records? 1 in 15 million. The odds of the same woman winning 6 Grammy Awards and starring in 2 Broadway plays? 1 in 75 million.
the odds of this musician and performer having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 88. I'm Toni Braxton, and I encourage you to learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference.